Here we have a common die grinder with one of these very common, readily available swivels. This happens to be a particularly low friction one. They vary a lot. Some have very high friction, some have very low friction. This is the lowest friction one I could find. Has a standard imp style plug in it. Here we have one of our Stedlin Orbital Couplers. Pressure rate on this thing right now is 150 psi. Let me show you something. Okay, I'm just going to plug that thing in there. It's very easy to plug into these things, by the way, at 150 psi, no problem. See, they both, everything swivels quite freely. It's very interesting. One thing you might notice is that, I would call your attention to this. When you rotate it, see, it could rotate here at this joint, or it can rotate in the Stedlin Orbital Coupler joint. You'll notice that at that pressure, this doesn't rotate, but this does. That's because the Stedlin Orbital Coupler has basically a swivel built in. Extremely low friction. Lower friction than this has. So that's an interesting point. The nice thing about these Stedlin Orbital joints, double ball joint swivels, is that you can pretty much do anything with them. One thing I don't like about these joints is that that action right there. You know how when you try to pivot it, when you get near what's called the gimbal position, gimbal lock position, like so, it won't pivot. So what happens is you get it slightly skewed, and then it'll suddenly jump on you. You can really feel that in your wrist. At least I can. The hose suddenly jumps back and forth, and in addition, it bumps my wrist it bumps the side of my hand all the time. So that I don't particularly like. So I'm not sure what value these are. The advantage these have is that they do swing pretty freely, at least this particular model does. So if you don't mind this particular gimbal problem, which some people might not mind it, some people will. In my case, I really don't like it because it jerks my wrist, and it happens a lot if I'm not paying attention to where the gimbal position happens to be when you're using this tool. So I don't care for that. I much prefer to just put a standard plug in here and plug it directly into here. I don't get the extreme pivot angle, but on the other hand, it's more than enough. And the friction is very, very low, as you can see. Yep, very easy to connect, even at that pressure.